3, 2, 1, go. All right, so first things first, let's go ahead and change this to matte cap. That's how I always sculpt. So we want to go here, change from lit PBR to matte cap. So next we want to make sure that we're in orthographic. So we go here, just make sure you're in orthographic. That way, as we sculpt, it will keep us from having any sort of perspective distortion. So we just want to stay in orthographic. So while we have the grid on, as you see the grid here, the red line, that's the horizon line, so that's the floor. So what I'm going to do is just add a cylinder. So we'll go to the scene, add a cylinder. And we'll just use the gizmo, and then we'll just shrink it like this. And I'll hit front, and I just want to make sure that the very top edge of this cylinder is lined up with the red line. So I'm going to take the green arrow and just move it down. So that's going to be our floor. So when I bring it to Blender, when I 3D print it, this is just to keep our model level. Okay, so I'm also going to make it a little bit bigger. I'll have to repeat that process and just move it down. Okay. So now this sphere, I'm just going to delete this because it's... Actually, we can just leave it. Let's actually move it up. So maybe somewhere around here. And this will be the head. So let's go ahead and rename that now. So we'll tap here and just change this to head. And we'll change this to FLR for floor. We want to go ahead and save. Stitch. Okay, so now that we have the floor is properly lined up, I'm just going to turn off the grid. We don't need it anymore. Let's go ahead and bring in our reference. So we'll go here, reference image. Tap the image, import photos. We'll bring in our picture of Stitch. Okay. I want to make sure that I can adjust it to where I want it. So we go back into that same menu, hit transform. And I think I want to move it right around here. Actually, we'll move it down here. Okay. And we'll tap the screen to just bring it back. I like to make the floor a little bit more round, the little disc. So I'm just going to tap on the floor and then tap on the gizmo to bring up the options. We haven't validated the floor yet. So I'm going to tap the 3 little dots, just put this to 2. And I think that looks good. So now we're just going to validate it. So now the floor is just round. If you're having issues with seeing squares in this or in the cylinder, it's probably just smooth shading. Let's see, yeah, so anytime you tap on any of these and you tap the material, down here we have smooth shading. My auto is automatically on, so if yours is off, then turn it on. I keep mine on auto because for me, auto is on. If you turn it off, then things might look a little bit different. So if you are running into that issue where you're looking at everything and looks like little squares, smooth shading. So first, let's start with the head. As you can see, let's make this a little bigger. As you can see, the head is fairly round, but it kind of comes straight off here. And then it just curves back in. And we can look at some other issues. We can look at some other photos. I had to see what his tail looks like. He has a very cute tail. And actually, I'll save this image as well. If you look at the back of his head, can't see it too well. You can see his ears, but the back of his head doesn't come out too far. It's mostly the front of his head. So this is good to pay attention to, just to see the kind of makeup of his skull and his head. You can see how flat his nose is, so that'll be useful. This is another image I'll just save so we can reference later. Okay. All right, so let's shape the head. Let's use the move tool. and we want to move both sides at once. Let's see. Yeah, we just want to move left and right at once. So the X is exactly what we want. I'm just going to scroll down and hit show line. That way we can see what our symmetry, what we're working with. So I'm going to make move fairly big, so that way all the movements are very fluid. And I'm just going to stretch this out here. So I'll stretch it out a little bit more here. It's a bit of a flat, top of his head's a bit flat. So I think this actually looks pretty good. I think something like that looks good. I think that works. So I do want to switch, the view of the head, and we might actually be able to just stretch it like this. And I want to take move, and I want to stretch the back of the head. And we can look again at our images. Whoops. So if we look at our images and we go back, we can see that his head is round and it kind of comes like a curve in the front. So we want to just mimic that. So I just make sure that I hit left, and then I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to use move. I'll make it fairly big, and I'm just going to try to match that shape. We could look at the image, but I'm not too worried about it being exactly perfect, as long as we have the general gist. And I think the back of the head comes out a little bit. Push this part down. We'll make the back of the head a little flatter. So I think a shape like this works. This kind of comes down a little bit, and the back of the head is a little bit flatter than the front, but still nice and round. And I think this will work for a side view. So let's look back at the front and just make sure everything looks good. We can look at the top as well. And I like to look at the top because this reminds me that I need to kind of round out the back of the head in this view as well. So that looks nice and round. And then we'll check the front. And it looks like we also need to, I'll make the move tool a little bit smaller. If we look at the back, we also want to bring out the back of the head like this. Make the back of the head wider. So I'm going to look back in the front and just make sure that everything is kind of looking the way that it should. So now we'll make the ears. This will be one of the most difficult shapes to get because it's sort of like this inverted disc. But with some work with the move tool, we should be able to get it. I'll try and go slowly so you can follow what I'm doing. It's a little complicated, but I think you can handle it. All right, so first, let's start with a cylinder. So we go here, we'll add a cylinder. We'll use the gizmo to just move it up. Like this. And I think for now, we're just going to stick with one cylinder. Instead of mirroring it, we can do that later with the ears. So we want to take snap, and I'm going to turn it till we have the left side. And then I'm just going to snap this forward by using this ring. So now the cylinder is facing us. And I'm also going to shrink it, maybe around there. And I'll make it a little bit bigger because ears are quite big. So we'll make it about this size. I think that looks pretty good. Maybe a tad bit smaller, or thinner, I should say. Okay, so now let's tap the gizmo and we'll validate it. So I'm actually going to make it a little bit bigger. I'll move it up a little bit. And then we're going to voxel remesh it. So, and actually I'm going to make it a little bit thinner. There we go. So a little bit thinner too. So now we'll take the move tool, and my move tool is about 315, so it's quite big. And I just want to push on this middle part of the line, so that's going to push this back. You don't want to see any green or any you want to make sure that you don't see the inside of your mesh. So one thing that I have is, let me see if I can find it. So if you go to this little cog here and you scroll down to two-sided, the back face color, whatever this color is, that will be, if you push through and you start seeing the inside of your sculpt, then that's always going to be a problem. So I have changed my color to this bright green. So that's the back face color. And I'll show you an example of what that looks like. So when I pull too much, now I'm seeing the inside of the mesh. We don't want that. So just think about changing this color just to something so you'll know when you're seeing the inside of the mesh. I'll put it sort of like this, and I want to push right in the middle. I'm just going to push this back. So we have, you don't want to see any green. So maybe something like this. You'll see a little bit, but that's okay. And now I'm going to take these two sides and just squeeze them together. Okay, so something like that. So they're together. I'm going to round out the top. So I'm going to pull up here, kind of round this out. And then I'm going to take this part and pull it down. So a little bit forward, but mostly down. So then we have, pretty much we have the ear that we're looking for. And it's a little thick, but that's okay because we might spread this out a little bit more inside by just kind of pushing. You'll see it'll become a little bit more round and disc-like, like a little satellite dish. So that's pretty much what we want. And I'm okay with mine being thick because this is kind of stylistic. But I think this is a really good ear. That looks good. So if you have to do that a few times, it's a very hard shape to get, but it works. So you can sort of, kind of figure out how deep you want it. You can always make this thinner if you want the ear to be a little bit thinner, but I'm okay with it being a little thick. All right, so I'm going to take the gizmo and I'm going to move it sort of closer to where the ear would go. So I'm going to move it over here, down. You can see it's quite big, so I'm going to make it a little smaller. I'll bring it down again. And I'm going to take it off of snap, and let's sort of just put it sort of close to where it would be on his head. So I'm going to spin it this way. I'm going to use the ring to spin it sort of back. And now I'm going to use a line. And a line is just so I can move it to where it needs to go. So now we can see the comparison to his head. It's still a bit big. Maybe something like this is a better size. It comes from the bottom part of the head. And if we're looking directly in the front, we see a little bit of the backside, but we see all of the open ear. So let's see if we angle it a little bit more. It starts to look a little bit better. Still, we can make it a little smaller. And again, I'm just angling it in to sort of where it goes into his cheek. So maybe something like that looks pretty good. Okay, so now let's deal with the way that the ear is shaped a little bit more. So I'm going to go back to the move tool. And for this, we don't want to use symmetry. So let's just turn it off because it's not symmetrical. It sort of comes up and it's a little wider on that other side. So here's just a look at how I have it angled. I kind of have it like this. So you can have a good look at mine. But again, just use the reference and try to match the reference, but stay loose with it. So I'm going to pull this part up. Again, I don't have symmetry on. I can make the radius a little bit smaller so we can get that nice point. I'm going to push this side a little bit. So we have something like that. So that's a pretty good shape, actually. I like that. Yeah, I think that works. I think that works pretty well. So if I look at the front, we have this nice, very stitch-like shape. If we look at the top of the head without the hairs, there's not that much space between the top of the head and the top of the ear, but it shows me that I have a lot of space here, so I still need to make it smaller. And again, I'm always looking for things like that. I'm always looking for ways to sort of match what we have here. Also, if I'm looking at the ear, this is much more round than mine. So I'm just going to take move and I'm going to round it out just by pulling this side. And I can actually pull this side up. And this is one of the good things about the move tool is it keeps everything pretty smooth. So it doesn't really get, it doesn't get too messed up. So I think this is pretty good. I think later on I'll add some clay, maybe to here, maybe a little bit of clay back here to connect it to the head. But overall, I think this is a good ear. So you just want to have a sort of shape like this. The only other thing that I'm looking at is mine isn't back. It's not pointing back enough. So I am going to try to move that back and maybe even push on this side a bit. See how that looks. So the key is what I'm really trying to go for is I want to keep this straight. Let's take, symmetry is off. So I'm going to bend this a little bit. And I really want to get that point. So I'm going to try to really make this side pointy and then puff this side out even a little bit more. Like that. I think that looks pretty good. And again, it's still a little bit high. As you work on it, it might get a little bit bigger. So you just have to keep an eye on that. But I think that's pretty good and pretty recognizable. So I'm happy with that. So let's take this ear. Let's rename it ear. And now we want to flip it to the other side. So all we do is go, actually what we can do is, let's take the mirror. Okay, so now we have it on the other side. It looks pretty good. And we can go ahead and validate, but let's uninstance. So we go yes. So now we have this ear, which is actually made up of these two ears, and you can pull them out actually and delete that. So this one is ear B, and this one is ear A. And if later on we decide to change something about the ear or add something, we can always just trim this ear and then do whatever we want to do with this ear and then flip it again. So, but let's go ahead and just do a quick save so we don't have to do all that again if we are happy. Okay, so let's add a sphere for the nose. And we'll use our gizmo. We'll move it up and forward. And then we can try to make it around the size that it is. I think that's pretty good. Maybe something like that. We can go ahead and validate it. And then again, we can use move. It doesn't have to be that big, maybe like 175 or so. And just make sure we're on the nose. And the nose looks like it's just wide up here, not so wide at the bottom. So I'll just keep it simple like that. I think that looks good. And maybe we'll take the gizmo and flatten it a bit. Okay, I think that looks great. The only thing I want to do is kind of extend, maybe extend the top out a little bit. But I think that's a great shape. Let me move it up a little bit. I think that's a great shape. Feels right. So we'll just move it back into the face for now. Make it a tad bit smaller. Okay, so let me just save. I save a lot. I don't have autosave on, so I do save a lot. I'm also going to bring everything up except for the floor. just so we have some more room underneath for the body. But I think this is a great start. So let's make some spheres, and these will be for his body. So we'll just do 2 spheres. Add a sphere. Let's bring it down here. What is this? So this is the nose. Also, we need to label things. Ear. Okay, so that's good. So this can be body A. Let's take the gizmo. We can actually validate it. So let's move it up. And it's actually a pretty decent size. So his head is here. And this one would be kind of under his head, because we might have to pull the head down a little bit for the bottom part of the mouth, which kind of goes into the body. Let's turn it to the left. So probably something like this. I'm guessing this first part of his body would be towards the back, because he's sort of leaned forward, because you want his arms here, and then you want his little butt and his legs to come out. So let's just take this, we'll clone it, and we'll call this one body B. So we're on body B, where we can move this down and back some and make it a little bit bigger. So let's take a look in the front, and that looks pretty good. Making something like that looks pretty good. So I'm going to use move, and I'm just going to flatten this. I'm going to flatten it, and I'm going to kind of bring it out towards this way. So maybe something like that. I'm going to bring this all the way down. And this is why I have this floor here, so we can have a nice flat area for the body. So it looks like, although this is probably a little bit smaller, and again, you have to kind of gauge these sort of things. This is where the kind of artistic ability comes into it, because you have to kind of gauge, you know, how you're making these shapes. So it looks like this would be round, and then it would sort of just come, you know, his little hip area. So I'm going to take move, and I'm just going to pull this down a little bit, and then I'm going to take this, and I'm going to try to make this nice round little area here. So something like that. I'll take a look at the top and maybe just round it out a bit. Make the move tool a little bit bigger. And again, we're going to smooth all this out. So I'm not too worried about how smooth it is right now, because we're going to make it nice and soft. So I think something like that is okay. Make sure I bring this down. You really want to bring the backside into the surface that they're sitting on. You don't want to have it round underneath, because it'll look like there's no weight on it. So you really want to make sure that if you're having something touch the ground, you want to almost have it like spread out towards the bottom. So you can kind of see that I sort of am making sure that it's kind of spreading out towards the bottom. I'm just trying to get this nice round little curve here. So something like that. And it goes up into the front part of the body. And maybe the front part actually comes up a little bit like that. So I think that should work. And if I had to imagine the back, I would think that it's something like that. So I think that looks pretty good. Okay, so let's trim off the bottom. So let's just take trim, we'll take rectangle, and we'll just trim off the bottom where he's sitting. Just in case we might forget later. Whoops. I don't know what I just tried to trim. But I forgot to touch that mesh. So we'll trim it now. Oh, maybe I want to trim it a little bit lower. Okay. Good. This might be a little bit big, but we can work that out a little bit later. Maybe I'll just a little bit. Okay. So as I'm looking at this, it looks like spheres for the shoulders, cylinders for the arms, and then spheres for the forearms. So we'll just block all that in. We'll keep it really simple. So we'll add a sphere. Oops. Move it up and hit front. So we'll move it up and move it over. We'll make it small. And I think, okay, so the nose is this big, so the shoulders are definitely smaller than the nose. So it seems like that might be a good size. I am going to have to resize a lot of these things, I can tell now. So if that's one, I'm going to tap Gizmo and then mirror it. Something like that. And they're actually closer together. I'll make them a little bit bigger. And move them a little closer together. Okay. So I'm going to name the mirror arms A. Okay, so let's add a cylinder. And I'm going to take this out of that. So we have our cylinder here, and we'll use our gizmo to just put it. Now it looks like it's attached to the shoulder, but sort of going in front of the body. So we'll move it up, move it over here, so it's smaller than the shoulder. I'll tilt it a little bit. Okay, something like that. Maybe even a little smaller. Maybe a little bit. Looks like they're going in a little bit. Like they're sort of a little bit inside the body, and they're tilted a little bit, sort of like this. So I think that looks like it works. They're not that long, but I'm going to take it off of a line. That way, if I want to stretch it, I can just kind of stretch it like this. Okay, and now it looks like we can add a sphere here and we just stretch it. That looks like it might be the easiest way to do it. I'm going to hit a quick save. And then I'm going to add a sphere and use my gizmo. We can actually validate it. And I'm going to push this into place with the gizmo. So I'll make it a bit smaller and move it. Okay, so something like this. And move it generally into place, and then I'm just going to stretch it. Okay, so if I'm looking at it from the front, he's actually sitting kind of a little bit turned to the side. So it actually looks like something like this. It looks like it comes down, and this is actually quite big, so I might need to shrink this as well. I might need to shrink this and then grab the radius and make this a little bit wider at the bottom part. Maybe that's a little bit smaller. And then take the sphere and again, just kind of maneuver it. Looks like it's something like this, but I'm going to bend it because I want it to be up in front of his body. So I'm thinking in front of his body, something like this. I'm going to move it up a little bit because now when I look at him in this position, actually I think this is good. I don't want it too far above his head. I think that's good. We can actually move everything else if we need to. So we don't need to, we can adjust everything according to him. So let's take the two body parts and just shrink them. And I'll bring them up a little bit. Like that. And I think we need to shrink the shoulders a bit. And we need to shrink this a bit. Well, actually, you might not have to. I do. I have to make it perfect. Okay, so I think that looks good. So the only difference is I don't really like it how both parts are going down. I think the top where the hands are, that's going to spread out a bit more. So what I like to do for that is use symmetry and then use the X and the, let's see. We want to be able to see the symmetry lines. So the Z and the X, let's hit local so we can actually see them. So now that we have it on local, you can see the lines. So if I take move and I move these pieces out like this, that looks a little bit better to me. So I'm just going to maneuver this a little bit more so it's kind of lined up with the arm. Move it up some. Yeah, so maybe something like that. I think that looks pretty good. So I'm going to take all these pieces and just mirror them so we can just take a look. I'll take the sphere and actually mirror that too. And let me undo that. So on the sphere, I want to reset this to world instead of local. So now I'm going to add the mirror and it mirrors it on the other side. That looks good. And it actually looks like I was a bit wrong. So it looks like on this, if I turn the symmetry back to local, and I still have those two, it looks like it actually does come back in a little bit. So I'm going to bring that back in just a smidge. And it actually looks like I'm going to turn symmetry off, and it kind of looks like this part would actually be a bit more straight. And you don't have to, I mean, obviously I'm kind of, you know, I'm a super stickler for details, but you don't have to go this crazy probably for the details. And actually, I probably don't either. Sometimes I just get really, really crazy with details. I love it. Okay, so what do I want to do here? I think it looks pretty good. The only thing is we need more of the chest in there. So if we need more of the chest in there, I'm just going to... Oh, we can make the arms a bit smaller, I think. I'm gonna take... So, excuse me. Sometimes I forget. Sometimes I literally forget that I'm making a tutorial. And yeah, that happens sometimes. I want to take all of these and move them apart. Oh, that didn't work. All right, let me figure out what the easiest way for this is. Okay, so just after thinking about it for a moment, I think this needs to be straighter. If I was just drawing it like human arms, the only difference is, let me do a line so I can move it straight this way. This part would be straighter. So I'm going to take move. I don't really need symmetry. I'm just going to push this a bit so that that part is straighter. I'm going to take the whole thing and push it back onto the arm like that. And I'm just going to make that side straighter. And I think that's pretty good. We can take the cylinder and we can always move that over a little bit, kind of tilt it a little bit more. But I think that's looking a little bit more of what I'm looking for. Shoulders, I might move them back a little bit. And kind of adjust this too. Yeah, there we go. That feels a bit better to me. The only other thing is If I go back here, I kind of want, actually no, I think I'm pretty happy with that. Just put a little bit more of a bend here. Maybe just puff that out a little bit more. I think that looks good. What happened to my mirror? Oh, I think I took it out of the mirror by accident. That looks good to me. So for the hands, the hands are like little sausages with little nails on them. So let's add a sphere wherever it goes. Make sure you take it out and just have it in a little spot on its own. Let's label these. So these are, this is arms B. What is that? Arms B. This, arms C. So that's arms C. Okay, so this sphere is fingers. And I'm going to go ahead and validate that. So now I'm going to bring it forward and up. So we're going to make the little sausages so they kind of come out and they sort of open up at the end. We'll figure that out, I think. So let's turn it to the right. Let's hit symmetry. Let's go down to vertex and change it to vertex. And now, do I have the right? So if we're looking at it at the front, we only have the X plane. So that's very important that we have the X plane and you're looking at it and you want the line in the middle. Make sure you don't have both. You just want one, you just want X. Just make sure it's in the middle. If it's in the middle, then you should be able to stretch this out like this. So you should be able to do that. And this is pretty much how we're going to make the little toes. So let's turn symmetry off. We can just turn this back to auto. And let's just voxel remesh it. I'm going to do a quick save. And let's voxel remesh it. 150 is fine. So we voxel remesh it. Now let's shrink it. So we're using select mask. We're using rectangle. So I'm going to do symmetry is off. I'm going to do select mask to about there. So now when I use the gizmo, what I think should happen is that this should get bigger. Okay. So we'll move it up a little bit. So this will essentially be the top part of that, the roundness in it, which I think should work. So this should essentially just make it round. So I think this looks pretty good. I'm going to take select and just clear the mask. So now we have something, that's a little bit closer to the shape. So now what I want to do is take move, and I want to change the symmetry to, we'll turn X off and we'll do Y and Z and do local. So we have the green lines on here. So now we need to turn the symmetry on. We can bring the move tool down and we can just bring this in. I know it looks weird, but just bear with me. I'll make this smaller and just bring that in. Make it a little bit bigger. Because this is going to be where his little toes come out. So that's kind of what we're making here. So I think this looks pretty good. I'm going to do a quick save. So I want to smooth everything, but let's just voxel remesh it, probably around 150 again or so. So we remeshed it, and let's just smooth everything. Oh, you know what else we should do? We should voxel remesh it lower to like 100. And then let's just smooth everything. let's voxel remesh even lower than that. Let's go to like 70. Okay, I think that's good. Nice. So I'm gonna hit a quick save again, and now I'm gonna take it and move it to where it should be. And maybe we should put the nails on first. I guess the nails can be equal sizes. So we'll just kind of place it for now in the general area, and let's make the nail. So I think the nail, we'll just add, let's do another sphere. We'll use our gizmo and we'll kind of put it in the general position. Let's go ahead and validate it and shrink it. So I'll just move it in the general position, which is always hard in 3D. Okay, so let's take move on this little ball here. So symmetry's on, although it's not showing me, which means I need to go to local. And we need to change it to Z. Let's change it to Z for now. So you see the blue line there. So now let's just make a nail. They're just kind of like, they're not super sharp, but we'll just kind of bring them out. I want the back part to be a little bit wider. And they're kind of something like this. I don't think they need to be too insane. Let's take Gizmo and we'll make it a little bit smaller, move it down, and we'll move it in a little bit. I'm actually going to move this finger part up just so we can really see it. I think that's pretty good. So I'm going to kind of angle it down a bit. And his nails do kind of come out. So I think that's great. If you want, you can take flatten. Maybe we want to give it a little bit of a flatten on the sides. If you feel that's more nailish. I love stuff like that, so I think that looks pretty good. It's coming out pretty far, so I think that's nice. Again, another thing is if you feel like this is too much of a ridge, if you have too much of a ridge, you can go here as well, and you can flatten that also. And again, there's probably more efficient ways to do this little finger part, but you know, that's the best part of learning. Excuse me. So let's name this nail. So we have the fingers and we have the nail, and we can actually put those like that. So now we have these. Let's do a quick save. Let's do front, and now we can sort of position them, make them smaller, and put them where we need them. So the thumb, it goes out, but the first finger is probably about here. We'll spin it. So if he's sitting, this is almost like, this one's almost going straight out. So I'm going to tilt it a little bit more and move it over here. Let's check the size. The size is actually pretty good. Maybe a little bit more. I think that makes sense. Okay, so now is a good time to really look at the nail and figure out where we want the nail exactly and how big we want it. Because we want it just touching the floor. So something like that. Okay, so I think that looks really good. So I'm going to clone it. So now I have the same thing. And then I'm just going to move it over. I'm going to do it. I'm going to move it over. And he has 4 fingers and 4 toes, it seems like. So I'm going to try to touch them together a little bit. Something like that. Maybe move this one out a little bit more. And then do the same thing. Take them both, clone, and then move that over. Maybe make this one a little smaller. Oh, let me take it off of a line. That'll make it easier to maneuver according to the toe instead of according to the world symmetry. Put them nice and cozy next to each other. I think that's pretty good. I need to make them a bit bigger, but I can do that. We can do that later. Okay, so let's take this first one and let's clone that. And I'm going to move this one to the top, and I'm just going to rename this one to thumb. Finger, thumb. Thumbnail. Okay, so now they look pretty much the same, so I think we're good there. We just need to, oop, that was the wrong. Take both of those. Put it here. Oh, you can see we don't have enough space, unfortunately. How do we not have enough space? So we'll have to figure, oh, you know what? We can first of all push this in a bit. And then also, let's take all of them and rotate. And they're very close to like touching each other. The thumbs. Okay, so I think that's pretty good. Okay, we might need to make these a little skinnier too. Okay, I think that's good. Oh, another thing that I'm sort of noticing, if I take all the fingers, and again, you might not have some of these issues that I have. I'm going to move them over actually, and then I'm going to take move and adjust the forearm, and I'm going to move that over as well. So that'll give me a little bit more space. And it should give the thumbs a little bit more space as well. So I think that should work. Okay, I like that. I do kind of want more of this. Make sure our symmetry is not on. Sometimes it's just nice to I don't know. This is one of the things I get really lost in, is just really dialing in a lot of these details and a lot of the things I want. Like, for example, I really want this to be straight, or at least more straight here. I don't mind that it actually comes up, and I don't mind that it comes up a bit, but I want it to be a little bit more straight here. So I think that looks good. The shape of the forearms are very, very important to me, as you can see. I'm not too worried about this. I Again, we can always move this back a little bit if we need to. Move these parts back. But I think that works. So I'm going to validate these cylinders. That way I can move them with the move tool. Because if you're looking at the arms here, these shoulders are actually quite small. Which means I want to take move and I want to just adjust these to go right into the shoulders. Okay, I think that's good. And I might put the shoulders a little bit further back and into the body a little bit. And then also adjust the arms. So the reason why I'm spending so much time on this is because this shape is very, very important with how he looks and the way that he is. And I got it pretty close. It still looks a little different. I guess he's more like on this angle, so that's why it looks a little bit more, it looks a little tighter there. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. I can probably even bring the middle part of this out a little bit more. Like so. That looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and add some legs. So we'll use the tube tool and we'll use path. So with the legs, we're just going to, let's say we turn it this way. So we want the legs to be coming out and being right next to the hand. So I'm just going to use snap and maybe 1, 2. I think that's about it. And then we're going to tap it so we have something like this. Now let's pay attention to where our tube is. Let's drag it out of that mirror for now. So of course this is going into the body. So we want to make sure the first one is going into the body. If it doesn't go in, if it won't go in, make sure you hit snap and then it should go inside the body. So we just need to maneuver these so they kind of look like little noodle legs that are coming out from the body. Now the foot is behind this toe, so I think this is a good place for it, and we'll add something here for the foot. But for now we can just increase the whole size of this leg. Maybe we can use radius on the radius here and just use all 3. And that way we can make this a little bit fatter. I think that gives the leg a little bit, a lot of personality. So something like that. I'm going to move this a little more into the body. I think something like that is good. I want to make this a little fatter. Maybe I'll make this side a little fatter too. And we have that nice flat. Actually, we probably don't need to do anything at the end. We'll just do this little round, similar toes to the back toes or the front toes. But I think that looks pretty good. I don't think his butt is that big though, right? He's kind of wide. I think I might have made him too wide. So I'm going to take this body and just shrink it. I think that looks better. Yeah, that looks better. It was way too wide. So I'm going to hit tube again and move this over a bit more. And I'll angle the leg out a little bit more. Oh, that looks perfect. That looks perfect. Make sure that goes into the body. Good. Okay, so let's see. So that looks pretty good. I think we're rocking and rolling there. I want to take the head and I want to stretch this down to the body. So it's just important that I want to make sure that the sizes and the spacings are okay here. You know, I think we'll take move, and I think we'll just stretch the under part to the body. So he does have like his lower jaw is quite flat. So if the mouth is here and the lower jaw is here, so let's just kind of drag from the middle. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, let's undo and let's move the whole head. Ear, nose. Is that the whole head? Let's move it back a little bit. Yeah, let's move it back. Maybe even a little bit more. So we want everything to be kind of centered. So I think that looks good. Almost like if this was like a triangle and the head is perfectly like on the top. I think that looks good. Maybe we can move it forward a little bit. So now I want to take move and I just want to draw down the middle of this head into the body. Yes. Okay, this I like. Let's see. Let's see what the best plan is here for how the neck goes into. So it looks like it kind of, let's see, the shoulders are, they might be a little bit far forward, but maybe that's just because this comes back. So I'm just going to move this up a little bit and maybe make it a little bit thinner here. And just see how that feels. Feels all right. So I'm going to go back to the head and just pull this down and then do my little push and pull thing. I think that looks pretty good. Now the shoulders, I think I want to pull a little bit more into the body. So let's see how that looks. So I'm going to take the shoulders. Oh, do I have to validate this? So let's validate that sphere, and then I want to take move, and I think I want to pull this into the body a bit, because it looks like they're a little bit too, oh, I know what we can do. We can take this part and pull that up a bit. So we'll take this, his little chest area, and we'll actually just pull that up a little bit. So what that will do is it'll push his elbows, it'll push his shoulders back more without pushing them back more. So we can go back to the shoulders, and I'm just going to sort of just kind of tuck them a little bit. A little bit back. I think that looks good. Yeah, I think that works. The leg looks good. And do I need to make the body shorter? No, the head's pretty big. I think the body, I think that's good. So all I'm going to do is stretch this. I'm going to stretch this and move it down. And then with the leg, let's do a line, and let's just, you always want to make sure that the parts are, so we want to have his whole leg on the ground. I don't think we want any space underneath. We just want the whole leg on the ground. I think that's best. That's looking good. Okay, so how do we want to handle this foot? Let's take this leg and let's mirror it. So now we have it on the other side too. So let's use one of these for the back little fingers. So I'm going to clone just this little one, and I'll bring it down. Actually, let's see. The best thing to do is to find the tube. Let's bring the fingers down underneath the tube. So this is his leg, so let's make sure we label it. Leg. So this tube is, I'm just going to put leg, just so there's no confusion. So the fingers, this is going to be toe. Okay, so we're going to take toe and move it over here. And let's take these legs and validate them. Let's do a quick save, and let's give them a little more. So let's do 200. Oh, we might have to subdivide them. Yeah, so let's subdivide first. So multi-red, subdivide. Leg is subdivide again, so that should be good. So now let's voxel remesh around 200. So they should be good to go. Let's go back to this little toe and move it into place. He has weird little toes, doesn't he? So it seems to me like it's something like this, but I'm thinking he has a little bit of a rounder bit on the end. So I'm thinking we'll take the leg and maybe do, let's turn symmetry on. Let's go here and do local. Oh, it's not really. So the symmetry is off, so let's just turn it off and get rid of it because the symmetry is not right. And I'm just going to use inflate and just make a little bit more of a round piece at the end. I just feel like that makes sense to me. Maybe even take move and just kind of like make it a little smidge bigger. Something like that. I think that works. So now I'm going to just adjust this little toe just to go on that the little ledge that we made with the inflate tool. Let me take it off of a, oh no, keep it on a line. This thing is acting real crazy now, the gizmo. Sometimes the gizmo is a little hard to maneuver. Let's do pivot, center, pivot. Let's take it off of a line. Yeah, this might be actually a little bit easier. So let's take a look. They're like right on the top and there's 4 of them. So there's 2 kind of on one side. So probably about there. So we'll just clone that. We'll add another one here. Maybe a little smaller. I like to respect the toe. If it's like a toe, I like to just make it a little bit smaller. Even though he's an alien. So we'll take this, clone it, and we'll just do more of the same. Whoop. And I might adjust these a little bit later and just sometimes I come back and just kind of tweak things. Like I might want them, instead of sticking out, I might make them stick a little bit more forward. I'm thinking about it, but I'm not quite sure. So I'll clone. I did get a few comments where people don't like when I, you know, change my mind or make adjustments or make changes. So, you know, things like that kind of sometimes keep me a little more focused, even though I really love to go through that and figure out if I want to make changes and stuff like that. But, you know, I also want you guys to enjoy the video, so you can let me know what you think. I think that looks good. That looks like his little crazy toes. Pretty much. I think I'll have to bring them, sink them in a little bit more, actually. They're actually pretty well sunk in there. Okay, and also he has these cute little pads. So let's do that. Let's add a sphere. Let's do a quick save. And we'll use our gizmo and we'll move the sphere over. To about there. And then I'll just go ahead and make it a little narrow. And then adjust it to his little foot toe bean. Yeah, there we go. Looks good. All right, let's do a quick save. I always call it a quick save. I'm not sure what that's all about. So we do need to add, this is like a cute little M&M. Toe bean big. And I'm going to clone it. And this one's just going to be toe beans. So in this one, I'm going to move and it looks like they're just kind of like, oh, actually, I don't know if I want to do actual toes in there. I was thinking I might want to switch it up a little bit and actually do more of like little toenails. Because I think his little foot things are a little weird to me. So I might just validate it, and I think I might just do kind of like little toes type things. I think. Let's turn on symmetry again. Local. Yeah, let's do it that way. Let's see how it looks first. I guess those are his feet, though. I don't know. I guess we'll just leave his feet the way they are. I guess, right? I guess we'll just leave them the way they are. They look kind of funny either both ways, I guess. But they're just kind of like this. It's a bit strange, but hey, those are his toes. So let's just clone. And this will be something that you can decide to change or not change. Well, I guess everything is your decision, but you know what I mean. Make this one a little bit bigger, toes a little bit bigger. We'll go ahead and clone these little M&Ms. If anyone's watching this, write M&Ms in the comments. People are going to just be confused. Don't say why, though. Just write M&Ms. People are going to be like, why are people writing M&Ms? Okay, let's clone again. Make this a little smaller. Boom. I think that works. I'm pretty happy with the fingers as well. So let's take a look. So all these toes, let's validate all of these. Okay, so let's see what we need to do here. So we have the leg is mirrored. These toes are not mirrored. So I think I want to connect them all. Where's the other toe? Oh, here it is. So I want to connect the toes. I think we'll move on to these other pieces, and then we'll come back to that. All right, so the eyes, very, very important. This is tricky. The eyes are a bit tricky. We might have to make the head a little wider. I actually think we probably will need to make the head a little bit wider, or at least the head that I made. I probably need to make it a little bit wider. Okay, so the way that I like to do the head is 98.3. Sorry, I'm a compulsory saver. So if I take the regular mask, let's see how it looks. So it's not so bad. So the way I would like to do mask is the way I like to do eye sockets is take mask and create the area that's going to be the eye socket, which is this lighter blue color. So it kind of starts here. Let's make it a little bit smaller, maybe go in a little closer. So it kind of starts here, it comes up kind of like this. Then it comes down, pretty much down to where the mouth is going to be. And you can see that it's sort of aligned with the bottom area of the nose, so I'm going to use that. See, there's this little spot next to it. So I want to make that little crevice, and then I want to have it come down almost to the bottom of the nose. Then it comes right up to the nose. So that's just how my brain thinks about, you know, when I'm drawing things. Like, I just try to space everything out with other things that are in the image. So now I'm just using unmask to sort of clean it up a little bit. Looks a little bit weird from the side. So I'm going to take unmask and I'm going to round this out. And then I'm going to go back to mask. And so I'm going to go up. I'm going to bring this over. I'm just going to make it more of a shape that looks more like a teardrop almost. So sort of something like this I think looks pretty good. There's a little bit much coming down here, so I'm going to sort of loosen that up a bit, like so. I think that looks great. I think that looks great. It might be a little big. Okay, so I need to make sure that the nose is... No, the nose is right in the middle. That looks right. The only thing that I could maybe do is put the nose up a little bit. But it actually feels good with the rest of the head. So I think I'm just going to leave it. But I probably could make it a little bit smaller. Because he has a fairly big nose, but I think that works. I'm going to shave a little bit off the unmask. So the reason why I'm not really saying much is because I just get really obsessive with like these shapes, and I'm just trying to match it to the best of my ability. And sometimes that can be a little tricky. So you just have to match really how this looks. And it's actually very complex. If you've seen it, it goes up and then it goes over, then it's straight down, and then it comes down again, but it's a little more of an angle. So it's a bit of a complex thing. You really just have to try to match it as much as you can. And you have to realize that this is actually just the side of the head here. So it's like you're kind of seeing it like that. So you don't want this to go all crazy back here. You just want to keep it nice and succinct. I think this is a pretty good shape for the eye socket. So now what we'll do is we'll invert this. What do we want to do? Go here, invert, and then we're going to use our gizmo and we'll make it smaller. So we'll make that area smaller. But then we also want to, let's see if I can figure out what I'm trying to do here. So I want to move it. It's a little tricky to do. Okay, so I think that's pretty good. The unfortunate thing is it doesn't really allow me to, I would really like to have it like this, but then it doesn't really work for the other side. So that's the only problem. So let me think if there's a better way that I can do this. What if I bring it out more and then I shrink it? That might have worked a little bit. I'm still not exactly sure. Let's see if I bring it out a lot and then I shrink it. Ooh. It kind of works, but it sort of makes it, unfortunately, it makes the outside look a bit weird. Unfortunately. Okay, so it looks like if I bring it back and then shrink it, now we're still not getting enough. So okay, so I think we're going to do something different. I think what we'll do is use move and push in right in the middle. So if we can push in the middle, we should be able to get what we want here. Okay, I think that might be a bit better. So the reason why I'm doing that is that I want everything to slope towards the middle. I'm actually going to pull on these sides. Okay, I think that might work a bit better. I know it looks a little funny now, but I think this might actually work better. So I'm going to hit a quick save, and then I'm going to clear this mask. So I'm going to clear it, and then I'm just going to take smooth and smooth it. There we go. That's perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. That's exactly what we wanted. Okay, so the only thing that I'm noticing is the nose is a little too much over this. So there's a couple ways to deal with it. I think I'm just going to take move and adjust the head. So I'm going to adjust the head out. Let's hit front. And it's actually okay because it looks like I need to adjust this out, the bottom part of the mouth out a little more anyway. So I think that looks pretty good. I'm actually going to pull down here a little bit because I'm going to need some space for the mouth. I think that looks great. So let's add some spheres for the eyes, because right now it looks weird without them. So let's add sphere, and we'll just name this eye for now. And we'll use our gizmo. We'll bring it up, over and forward. Let's shrink it. Okay, so something like this is a good start. And then we just have to sort of, we just have to mold it to be like his eyes. But I actually might want to, I might make it a little bit different, only because, well, you know I always like to make things look a certain way. Let's see. So let's validate this eye, and let's use move. And with move, I'm just going to, we don't need symmetry, but I'm going to stretch this. I'm going to stretch this eye out. Oh, you know what I should have done first? If I was smart, I would have flattened it a little bit. But I actually might not need to, because it's black. I might not need to do that. I'm just going to change the pivot. And I'm going to change the pivot so I can just flatten it a little bit, because it's a little too bubbly. I don't really want like a bubbly eye. Or I do, but I don't want it too bubbly. So if I put the pivot pointing in the way that I want to squeeze it, I hit pivot again, then I can just keep the shape and make it less bubbly. Like that. But it still maintains the shape. Okay, so I don't think we need move anymore. But maybe the gizmo to just bring it out a bit more. Yeah. I like this. I want to make sure that they're right in line with the nose. Actually, maybe down a little bit lower. Okay, I think that's a good level for the eye. Yeah, that's great. I like that a lot. So I want to take inflate, and we can take symmetry, and we're on the head now. And I want to inflate to make this area above the eye. We're going to be doing this a lot. So with inflate, I'm just going to go ahead and so something like that. And actually, I can make them a bit smaller. I don't know why I turned the screen so crazy too. Am I on inflate? I am. Because he has ridges. You see these ridges? And that's what's going to make that line there. So that line there is because of a ridge. So that's why I make certain shapes like that. Because I know from doing 2D, I understand what those ridges are from. Just like these ridges. All these ridges are from something like this. Something like that. Now he has actually 2 of them. So he has another one here that's a bit smaller. So if you do something like that, maybe even just smooth it a little bit, and then they start to look fairly natural. Let's take the eye and let's add a mirror to it while we're here. Do a quick save. And then for the mouth. So I want to do a version with the mouth closed and open, actually. So I'm not sure if I should do that last or do it next. I could always do these little hairsies too. While I'm thinking about it, let's go ahead and add a sphere. We'll take it out of the mirror, and let's just name this tail. He has a little nugget tail. We'll validate it. So this will be real easy. The little things that you just want to get out of the way. He's a little nugget tail like this, and we'll just use move, and we'll just kind of make it a little more nuggety. So something like that. And actually I'm going to use move again, and I want to put a little bend in it so it can sort of rest on the ground. Let's use a line. Yeah, so he has a little nugget tail like this. So I think that looks good. Okay, good. Nugget tail. We'll do save. So I'm actually going to save as. What do I just do? Save as, new. And this one's going to be, well, it's supposed to be another one, but that's okay. Let's open up the previous one. Okay, so let's do the mouth now. So we can probably, his mouth is closed, so that kind of makes it a little bit easier. But I don't want to do easy stuff. So I think what I want to do is we need to kind of bring it out a little bit more, because it's a little flat and I kind of want the mouth to come out a little bit. So let's use inflate, and let's make just a line across it like that. Something like that. And we can actually just smooth it out too. And then we'll use crease. Okay, and it looks like we're just going to go down from the middle and then up a little bit where he's smiling. So we're going to start where the symmetry line is. So we'll come out. And then we'll lift that up so he's smiling. Well, he looks a bit strange there. So I think what I did wrong, the nose can actually be a little bit bigger. Maybe a little bit lower. I like that. So for crease, it looks like his nose is really close to his mouth is really close to his nose. So he has a line here, and he has that middle line there. We can do that later. But we really want to get this right. Oh, that looks better to me. And we'll do this little tail on the mouth. That looks good. Okay, I think that looks really good actually. So I'm going to turn, so part of me actually wants to make his cheeks kind of come up a little bit. So maybe I'll try inflate. Actually, we'll try clay. Let's try to add some clay right at the top here. Just to give him a little cheek action. So we use clay and then smooth, and let's just see how this looks. I kind of like that little bit of something there. I think I kind of like it. And also, let's try move. If we have the eyes, I want to see what it looks like if I take the eye and push it up a little bit here, almost like it's the smile, like it's the cheek that's actually doing the pushing up. So I'm actually just going to push up on this shape here that I just did. So that should give him a little bit more of a smile. And I think it might have worked. So the eyes need to be more teardrop shaped. Somehow they got like not teardrop shaped anymore. I think, oh yeah, I think we just maybe moved it a little bit. I need to get them sharper. So I'm doing my push and pull that I always do. There we go. That's a bit better. Okay, I'm gonna smooth this out because I've done a lot on them, and I still think they look pretty good. Yeah, I still think it looks pretty good. Maybe I'll move them in a little bit. Let's take a look at the front. I don't really like the eyes. Sometimes it's a bit hard to kind of find where the eyes should be exactly. Oh, that looks good. That looks all right. I'm going to move this in and maybe make this a little bit more round here. So that little cheek, that's going to make him look happier. And also this area, because I do like when he's very happy looking. So pulling this up here will actually make them look happier as well. So we'll add a little bit to that as well. I think that looks good. The eyes are a bit big, maybe. So maybe I should just make them a little smaller. And maybe move them up and closer to the nose. I think that actually works well. So I'm going to save. Is the nose too big? No, the nose looks okay. The mouth looks really good. So he does have a little ridge up there. I think clay might be best for this. So we're back on the head. If I just do a little bit like that. Just very soft, and then just kind of smooth it out. And it should just give you a little bit of a ridge. Or a chin, I should say. Okay, so still what's bothering me is I still feel like this needs to come out a little bit more. Okay, yeah, that looks good. I think that looks pretty good. Okay, so let's put a little crease under here. And let's smooth it out and see if that gives us a little bit more of that ridge that I'm looking for. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. I'm being very critical of it right now, so I'm looking at it very hard. The head, I'm noticing, is very big. So I need to take everything, not the tail. I'm going to move all the parts of the head up. That's the tail. Is there any other parts of the head down here? No. Okay. Let's do a quick save. So I've noticed that the head is a little big. So I need to make that smaller, number one. Okay, so that looks a little bit better. Okay, I think that looks a little bit better. Another thing I wanted to do is take drag and maybe push up the cheeks from the center point. I can take another crease. Like that. I think that looks good. I start getting excited when I get close to these things being kind of done. Okay, so I need to do the toes. The ears probably need a little bit of work still, but we did adjust the head. So let's fix the ears. I think I want to bring the ears back a little bit. And maybe twist them a little bit. I like that. Are these moving independently? They are, aren't they? I think I'm going to do exactly what I said I was going to do. And actually, they're actually okay if they move independently. They don't have to be the same. So that actually kind of makes sense. They don't actually have to be exactly the same. I'm okay with them not being. And where should they be? So even if they're not the same, I still want them to be on the same plane. So that looks good. And now we just have to we'll use trim with lasso, and we need to make these cuts in them. So for this ear, it looks like it's about here. That looks good. So let me do a quick save, and then we'll just voxel remesh this. Actually, we can voxel remesh the ears into the head. Let's see what it looks like if we just voxel remesh the ear around 240. That looks good. This one is a little bit higher up, so we'll use trim, and we'll just give this a nice bite right here. Maybe a little bit bigger. And we'll do the same thing. We'll just do a voxel remesh around 240 or so. Looks great. I'm going to smooth that out a bit. Smooth this one out a bit. Okay. I'm going to take another look at these ears and just make sure that there isn't anything that I'm missing or that I don't like. I do this a lot, so you're probably used to it. I feel like I still want this to be a little bit wider here. Okay, I think that looks good. I want to take flatten and see if I want to flatten out this ear. Let's see what I think about that. Sometimes I just like to flatten stuff, but I think I like the way that looks. Let's go to this ear and flatten this as well. I'm going to start from here. Just flatten that edge. I like it. I like it. Sorry, I'm getting a little excited. When the things get really close to being done, then I just get excited. Okay, so I think I want to test out if I want to just add this a little bit higher. So I'm going to test this out here and just see what this looks like. If I make that a little more prominent. Oh, I think I like it better. I think I like that. So I want to delicately smooth a bit more right underneath his mouth crevice. Yeah, I like that. I'm with it. Okay, so now I want to look at his shoulders. I want to make sure that they look a little bit too spaced out now. So I think I need to bring them closer to each other. Whoops. It looks like it should be something like this. And then these, I'll tilt them a little and just bring them a little over. And then I'll use move to, again, bring them into the arms. That feels a bit better. Okay, is the head a little bit too close to the body now? Ooh, how do I have the arms in there? Oh. Okay, maybe that's a little better. Okay, so what I'm feeling right now is that the lower part of the body is a little too low. And even these might be a little bit too big. So I need to make all of these shorter. Take it off of a line. Oh, that still doesn't really help me that much. Let's see. What can I do here? Okay, so I'm going to bring, so what needs to be squashed? The upper body, the lower body, and that's it. So this piece, body A and body B, need to be squished. But so do the arms. Not really arms A, but arms B and arms C. I think all those need to be squished. So we'll squish them, and then we'll move them down. I think that's what we need. So now I'm going to take this, and squish it this way, and then move it up, or move it forward. That's good. Take the legs and the toes. So I'll take the legs and the toes and actually, you know what? I'll just take this and move it back into the body like so. I think that's fine. Shoulders, we can move down. It already feels better. This, I want to just move, make this smaller. Okay, I think that feels so much better. So now I want to take the head and move this down to like here and shrink it a little bit. Okay, that feels better to me. All right, so the hands still look pretty good. But these feet and stuff I need to bring over to the other side. So let's take these toes and let's join them. So these toes, let's go ahead and add a mirror. Whoop. Let's take all of these and put it back to world. And then for the toes, let's add a mirror. Perfect. We'll take the toe beans and we'll add a mirror. There we go. Okay, the fingers and the fingernails. I can't mirror it, can I? So I need to take everything and what's the best way to do it? Actually, I know the best way to do it. Let's just take all the nails and join them, and then take all the fingers and join them, and then we can just add mirrors, but we want to make sure that they're on world. So make sure that they're on world. So then you can just take them and add mirrors, and they'll go to the other side. Fingers, add. Wait a minute. Okay, that's the fingers. So where's the nail? Oh, here's the nail. We can probably add it to that mirror. Yeah, there we go. Actually, let's give it its own mirror for now. Instead, let's give it its own mirror. Where's the thumb? Okay, so thumb I'm going to add into the fingers mirror. And the nail will add into the nail mirror. Okay, so I'm going to rename this mirror nails. And rename this mirror fingers. Okay. Okay, good. It's looking good. Oh, there's a little nugget tail. Let's use a line so I can just move it straight. Perfect. And now that I have it where I like it, or actually, do I want it like, let's do snap. Do I want it upside down? take it off snap. That might be a little bit more cute. I'm not sure. That might be a little bit cuter. I don't know. I can't. It's hard to tell. What do we think? I actually think that we should make it off to one side a little bit. So I'm going to use move and turn off symmetry and give it a little bend and make it off center. So it's not, symmetrical. I don't always want things to be completely symmetrical. So I think that's an easy way to kind of make it not symmetrical. I like that. Okay, I think that looks good. So I'm just going to trim it. Trim the tail. First, I'm gonna subdivide it once. And the only reason I'm subdividing it, I'm going to use rectangle and trim. I'm subdividing it so it doesn't get too crazy when I trim it. That's not bad. Okay, so I think I'm going to use some inflate for around the back of the legs. So this is going to be on this lower part of the body. And actually, I'm going to subdivide that as well and do a quick save. And I'm using inflate, and I'm just going to inflate like a nice little like skin fold. Because you know skin folds are my jam. And he actually has a decent amount of skin folds too, so it makes sense for him. And then we'll just kind of smooth it out a little bit. I think that works. The little shoulders, I think I want to move them back so they're like going in that way maybe. Okay, so for these little bits on the chest, let's voxel remesh the body. 250, I think it should be pretty good. So we'll voxel remesh the body. I'm just going to smooth it out a little bit. And then I want to take layer. So we'll take layer and we'll make the layer really small, 26, 27. And we might be able to just add some little pops like this. Something like that. And then just smooth. And then use smooth and then crease. And then add some creases underneath them. Something like that. And I'll smooth kind of the top a little bit more so it looks like it's kind of coming off the body. I really like that. So it's almost like a stamp, or like a relief, I think it's called. I think that might be a little bit better. I might want to make them a little bit bigger actually for him. But I really like the way that looks. I might increase the intensity of the layer, which will actually make them come out a bit more. Okay, so something like that. I think that looks really good. Let's take a look if I voxel remesh it at 250 and then I smooth it. Let's see how much they smooth. Oh, that looks good. They smooth out nicely, and then you can just take crease and go underneath. Might have made the crease a little bit too small. So to me, that makes it look a little bit more natural, as though it's like hair on the chest. So I really like that. The only thing I'm thinking is I might wish I would have made it a little bit higher up. But I still think it looks pretty good. So I think I'm pretty happy with the shape of all of this. So now it's just a matter of vox remeshing a lot of these parts together. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do is drag, I think, on the ears, and then take the head and just drag a little bit of this head into the ears. Let's see how weird that looks. It looks a little weird, not much. I kind of just want to get the back part into the ear a little bit. See how that looks from the front? That's okay. I don't want it showing through the ear though. So I'm going to be careful there. Okay, that looks good on both sides. And I might even take the ear and add some clay. I think that'll just kind of bond them together a little bit better. I'll do the same thing on this side. I just want to add some clay here, just to sort of bond them to the head a little bit. So I'll smooth this out a bit. Same thing with this side, just smooth it out a little bit. And I really like that. The only other thing that I'm thinking about doing is taking inflate, and then on the head adding a little inflate line. I'm going to take symmetry off because I think the ears are not super symmetrical. So this is the only other thing I was thinking, is adding this little inflate line there. Mostly just because I love using the inflate tool. Let's see how that looks. Oh, it looks nice. So I'll add it to the other one too. Just make sure you're adding it to the body. So I'll just go back and forth until we get that nice skin fold. I think that looks great. I don't think I need any more anywhere else. These look good. Oh, he does have more of these on his head too, though, doesn't he? Okay. So let's use the good old tube tool. I'll use path. Doesn't really need much. Ooh, but I know what we can do. We could have used profile for the chest too, but I actually like that little relief down there. Okay, so we'll get a little bend in it, and we'll make this smaller, this one bigger. We'll make sure we get it into the head. And it looks like it's on the sort of closer to the back of the head to me. I think. Maybe we'll do it in the middle. So something like that, but I want to use the profile. So let's tap profile here, and maybe we'll even just give it a little bit more. I'm going to bring these in like this, add a node here and a node here. Maybe even put them a little bit closer, like so. So we'll add something like this. I think that looks great. Size seems pretty good. So before I validate it, I want to clone it. Let's do a quick save. I want to clone it and do another one behind it. So now we'll just use the gizmo. This should be the clone. And I just want to just twist it almost. Maybe we can make it even a little bit bigger. I'll go back to the tube options. I can make the bottom a little wider. if I want, and just kind of turn it a little bit more. I think that looks good. I guess I should angle these the way that the art is. So this one would be more like this. This would be more out. Like that. Let's look at the front. Let's make sure this is small. And then we'll go ahead and clone this one. And this one will be the one that's a little bit smaller into the back. We'll rotate it. We'll go to the tube options and make it a little bit thinner. I don't think it needs to be as fat as the other ones. Okay, I think that looks good. They all might be a little bit big. So I'm just going to use my gizmo and sort of shrink them all. Okay, I think that's a little bit better. And I want to take them all and move them a little bit more forward too, I think. Okay. He's looking good. And this actually would have been looked okay, I think, on his chest, if I'm being honest. Okay, so let's take the nose and make the little nostrils. And there's a few ways to do it. I think I want to use mask. So the nose probably needs to be, make sure you save. Let's voxel remesh the nose around 200. We'll be able to decimate this. So we'll take mask, and looks like it's something like this. Yeah, I think it's something like that. We'll invert it. Oh, actually, if we solo this, oh no, they didn't go through. Good. Sometimes you have to be careful using the mask because it'll go through. If it ever happens and the mask goes through to the other side, you have to go here, filter, and front-facing vertex only. Sometimes it's really annoying. So we'll go to the mask, we'll invert, and then we'll just suck these puppies in, like so. Maybe even make them smaller, and maybe a little higher. Yeah. Actually, no, I don't think I want them higher. What if I actually tilt it? I kind of like that a bit better. Like that. Okay, so now we'll just clear the mask. I think that looks great. I don't even really think I need to smooth it, but I'll smooth it anyway. Okay, so we'll smooth that out. I don't know if I want to be fancy and add a bevel to the nose, but let's try it out. I love the way that like bevels look. It can make things look super clean. Okay, I think that looks good. Might be a little tricky to print that part, but I'm not going to worry about that too much now. Let's add another crease here. We can have this symmetry on. Okay, we'll smooth it out a little bit just to give it a little kick. And let's see, maybe we want to put a little flatten on this. Again, I really like kind of flattening pieces like this. I just think they look really, it makes it look really nice. Even on the lip, let's see how it looks. I think I like that. Let's see, let me save this. The head, let's voxel remesh the head really high. Maybe at like 300. I do want to try out crease and sub and see how it looks if we kind of make this area a little bit more creased. I want to see how that looks. Oh, that's actually kind of nice. It's actually kind of nice. Maybe I'll smooth it out a little bit. It just gives it that like separation that I kind of missed a little bit. So I kind of like that. I think we want to just voxel remesh everything together. So I'm going to save. So we want to take these parts, all of these, and let's just join them together. So that's the hair and the head. Let's go ahead and subdivide the hair twice. So we have the hair, the head. We're going to merge that with the body, the lower body, and I think actually everything down here is going to get voxel remesh together except for the little nails. So the nails I think actually look good. The nails look good, so I'm going to validate those. Ooh, when you validate them, make sure you go back to join children. So we have nails, we have the arms. All these parts can be validated. Legs we can validate. The toes, yeah, toes we can validate as well. Oh, those are the toe beans. Let's make sure that they look okay. Yeah, they look fine. So the toe beans will validate. I'm just going to enable this toe beans. This mirror is the toes. Toe beans, what is this? What is this? Oh, okay. So that's toe beans, toe beans, toe beans. So we'll join all the toe beans. Oh, wait a minute, we're missing some toe beans though, aren't we? I'm gonna go back. Did I really do it that many times? So we'll join these, we'll add a mirror, and then we'll validate. So now we have toe beans on the other side as well, and we'll join them with the other toe beans. Perfect. So let's do a save. Okay, everything looks good. Body A, body B. I'm hesitant to, let's join the fingers. Join children, fingers. Okay. All right, so the easiest thing to do is to voxel remesh everything and then see what might need changing. So we're just going to take the head, the tubes, which I think is the hair, both ears, the tail. Oh, you know what I wanted to do first with the tail on the body? I wanted to use inflate, and I wanted to add, we'll take symmetry off. Just wanted to add a little flavor to it. Oops. Add a little flavor to the tail. Okay. Everything looks pretty good. I'm very excited. Body A, body B, tail, ear, tube head, fingers, arms, legs, toes. Quick save. Let's voxel remesh everything very high, probably around 600. And let's just see how it looks. Yeah, everything looks good. Everything looks good. Smooth out. Let's turn symmetry. Actually, let's adjust the symmetry. Let's change the symmetry to the X. That still looks perfect. So now we can use it for symmetry or for smoothing. We need to make sure that we smooth all of this. We don't really have to smooth the arms too much, or these parts, because they look pretty good. But I can smooth a little bit, because sometimes it gets a little, you know, I don't really like when it starts to get a little, those little squares. So I am going to smooth this a bit. But that's okay. Okay, nice. I can smooth these little toes. Very nice. Oh, I wanted to smooth this part for sure. Okay, that looks good. Oh, I accidentally got rid of all those, but that's okay. We can always redo that. Let's make sure this, let's see what happens if we move this up a little bit. Smooth this a little bit. Okay, I think that looks nice. Smooth this a little bit. I might add some sort of things like this to the body, because that actually worked out well. Tube tool is much better than it was. I'm really happy about that. But actually, I think that looks good. I'm just going to re-add these with inflate. Oh, not inflate, layer. Layer was the tool. Smooth all these out. And then use a nice crease to just bring out the details again. Whoop, make sure you're not on sub. Okay, looks nice. Okay, that looks good. I'll actually add some creases here as well. Maybe even add one here. So it kind of looks like, you know, those folds where the arm goes under, and I can add a little bit of inflate. Just to kind of give a little bit of those details. You know, you gotta get those details in when no one's looking, you know? I think that's what makes things sort of special, when you like pay attention to the detail. And literally this is from like just anatomy, you know, like just anatomy. We always have those folds where our arms kind of like come underneath our, you know, our body. So like, why not make that for a stitch? It's kind of, those are my feelings about it. So this is good. Let's save. Let's use crease, and we need to make this line from, oh, we need to also smooth out this because his body is not separate like that. So we need to make sure this is nice and smooth. Okay, that's good. So we need to make the line from here to there. We could just do it with color, but let's see how crease looks. Oh, and I was going to turn his head too, but that's okay. Let's see how crease looks if we take it from underneath the arm and then up and something like that. Yeah, it looks good. So it looks like we'll take it from here. I think that looks nice. I'm going to turn symmetry off, and then I'm going to turn show line off. That way I can just see and give him this nice crease right in the middle of his nose. Okay, we'll kind of smooth it out a little bit. Good. Looks great. The ears look good. You can turn symmetry on and kind of smooth. Actually, let's keep symmetry off. I forgot that the ears are not symmetrical. But we can just kind of make them a little bit smoother. Okay, that looks great. Oh, I'm loving it. I am loving it. So now I just want to kind of play around a little bit and just make sure there isn't anything that I want to add, like this for the eyes. No, that makes him look a little meaner. What if we do it like towards the back? It's kind of nice. we add a little flatten to it. It's kind of nice, but no real need. Okay, so let's see, what else do we need? There's a little bit of a thicker black line up there, and part of me wants to add a thicker black line there. So I think I'll just use tube, path, and maybe like here. We'll use all the radii. Make sure that, oh, spline is on, okay. So I think that looks good. I definitely want to use profile. It's not that thick, but it's definitely there. Oh, let me take snap off so I can have it go into the okay, I think that's perfect. So, oh, not snap, mirror. So we'll mirror that. I might need to move them up a little bit. No, it's actually good. Okay, I think that looks good, so I'm going to validate those. I think that looks perfect. I'm very happy with it. And I can't think of anything else that I might want to do except for maybe add a little crease action here. Oops, crease. A little bit of crease action, and I think that's it. Oh yeah, I guess I should light them and color them. But this is the easy part. So the hard part is pretty much done. Easy part, lighting and coloring. So switch videos. So I'm probably gonna bring this into Blender, but let's do a quick lighting. So, oh, I made his neck a little bit wide too, didn't I? I might be able to use drag and symmetry. I might be able to just drag his neck in. I think that actually worked. I think that actually worked quite well. Oh, anyway, what was I? Oh, color, lighting and coloring. Okay, so let's take it out of MatCap back into Lit PBR. So we'll save. And then we'll change the color to something neutral. So So in this case, I will just use my terracotta color. So we'll change it to something neutral like this. We'll turn off the environment, which is my my eye environment kind of thingy that I always use. So we'll turn that off. We'll add a light. Turn it up to about 2. It looks good. 221. I'm gonna go ahead and turn post-process on just so I can really see it well. And I'm gonna put it on drug-free Dave. So this is just what I use all the time. If you want to take a look at these, but you know, you might want to just adjust these so they're what you like. You don't have to have that on. That's just makes it a little more saturated or something. But I mess with that. But you don't have to worry about that too much. You can leave it off. I think that's about it. Okay, so but yeah, everything looks nice. Looks good. And so this one light looks good. Let's take this light and let's clone it. This one, the top one, obviously is the key. This one is going to be the rim or edge lighting. Move this one over here. And for this one, obviously, we're going to want to put it, we want to have the arrow facing the back of him and have that nice bright light coming down. Maybe something like that. We'll turn it up. And I want to set his skin. So nose, nails, toes. Wait, let's validate this. Actually, we'll leave it for now. Actually, no, let's validate it. I'm being stupid. Let's validate the eyes and call them eyes. Oh, this is the eyebrows, or the eyebrows. Oh, those are brows. I can add lashes. Oh, I want to add lashes. I definitely want to add lashes. So these are the brows. Toe beans. But I'll add lashes afterwards. We don't need, so toes. So take toe beans, toes, nails, nose. Wait, where's the body? Oh, it's probably toes, right? Toes is the body. So let's do subsurface. This is gonna, I just love the way subsurface looks. Makes it look really good. More like actual 3D stuff. So I always use it. So that looks good. We have the rim light. We can add another light. Let's make it a, let's make it a spotlight. And we'll point it over here. Let's make it a sunlight or directional. And we'll lighten up this side, but we'll bring it down so it's not so bright. But it lightens up a little bit. Okay, and then let's add another light. We'll call this one TD for top down. This one will be a spotlight. We'll put this one right here, coming down on his face. And it looks pretty good. We can make it a little brighter maybe. Well, actually, we need to make it a little softer. Okay, maybe a little wider even. Yeah. Okay, so the lighting looks good. I'll do a quick save, and I want to, yeah, so this is good. I'm going to actually save as. So new, and this is going to be stitch color. Get rid of one. So this is going to be the color one. So let's just go hit these colors real quick. So first we want to match this blue. Looks like it's something like that. The nose is a bit darker and richer. Feels like it's something like that. Let's bring the roughness down a little bit. I feel like the nose would be a little bit more glossy than the rest of the skin, though I can't be certain. These are black. Oh, they look terrible already, I can tell. The eyes are black, but black and glossy. Toes are the same color as the nose, so we'll just grab that and paint all of this. This might actually need to be a little bit darker. We'll change this color as well. I thought these all were connected. I guess not. Okay. That looks good. So now the inside of the ears. So let's change toes to body. Inside ears. We'll use paint. And we want to make sure that the paint isn't going to go through. So first let's grab what color this is. This is more of a feels about there. How rough do we want it? We don't want any glares in there, so I'm going to make it a bit rougher. So let's use paint. Let's make sure the paint isn't going through. Of course it is. Annoying. So let's tap here, filter, front facing vertices only, or vertex only. And we just want to color, oh, let's turn on the environment. Turn on the environment and turn the lights down to about 1.3, 1.2. Okay. Do a quick save. So now let's just color the inside of the ears. I'm going to do that again because when I edit this together, the video, I want it to be way more clean when I'm painting the ear. Okay, that looks pretty good. It might be a little too pink. I actually don't mind it. It's actually fine. I think it is a little too pink, but that's okay. Just want to make sure I get all the spots. Because then I can go through with erase and make this really small and then just clean it up. Ooh, symmetry's on. I should turn it off because the ears are not symmetrical. That's the only thing about not making things symmetrical. Is sometimes it kind of bites you in the end. Okay, that one looks good. So now we need to do this one. It's pretty good in there. Okay, so now we'll just, this actually looks pretty good. Oh, you know what? Unfortunately, I should change this back to opaque. Because you can actually see the paint a lot better with opaque. And I've made the mistake of leaving it subsurface and then missing things, which I don't want to do this time around. Okay, this looks good. Go erase. I think I erased a little too much on that one. There we go. I want just the right amount. It really annoys me when I bring these into Blender and I find that like I made a little mistake or something in the paint, because I actually don't know how to paint in Blender. Like I just don't know how to do it, because you don't just like paint, you have to like, I don't know, go through all these steps or something. Like, I just want to paint, bro. What are we doing? Okay, that looks good. It's a little weird down here. We're gonna open this up a little bit down here so it feels like it's the ear, even though I didn't really do that good a job at creating that opening in the ear. Yeah, this is the only thing that I was talking about with the paint, is you don't see it as well with subsurface, so it's good to put it back to opaque to really make sure it's looking good. Because in Blender you can see all the little mistakes, and it's not good. Okay, ears look good. So now let's get this lighter color. Feels like maybe around there. Let's see. Yeah, that feels all right. Maybe a little lighter, if anything. Oh, let me do layer, and we'll make this lighter. Let's try on the eyes first. And I think we can use symmetry because we didn't adjust the face at all. Okay, that looks good. Looks great. So now let's do the bottom part of the mouth. And actually, I don't know why I have post-process on. And we'll just color right down here. Actually a bit hard to see. Okay. Okay. Looks pretty good. Okay, so now let's go with the erase and just try to clean this up. Let's make this a little bit better first. And you know, he probably didn't really even need the line, the crease, to be honest with you, but that's okay. Well, it looks like I'm still outside of the line here. Okay, everything looks good, everything looks good. That's the only thing that I don't like is the parts that kind of come together. I don't like how they look. And I hate that there's nothing that I can really do about it. Except just be upset. Okay, that's pretty good. Oh, the color's a little off. I wish I could adjust that, but and here's another little last minute trick we can do. Clone the eyes, trim one of them, change it to the color of this. Pivot, center, pivot. Move it out. Trim. Okay, let me Do a quick save. Just wanted to see what that would look like. You can always add less too. Pivot, let me adjust this pivot. Take move and just kind of move it where I need it to go. I think I like it with that there better. What do you think? I didn't even make it subsurface yet. Okay, I'm happy with everything. I want to go back to the body and add a few more little light details that I actually want to show you as well. I want to use crease, and I want to use I want to take this blue and then I want to make it darker and really rough. And I want to just add, I want to make sure that I have this color up here so we can use the stroke painting. Okay, I'll smooth off a little bit of this color. So what that does is the stroke painting puts that darker color in there. So that actually works really, really well. And actually, let's rename this darker, because we also need to paint the inside of this nose. So I'm just going to paint that with, actually, I think I'm going to go with black on that. Really rough. And I'm just going to paint the inside of this nose black. And also the nose, I'm going to add a new layer. And it's just going to be darker. I'm not putting it directly on the nose in case I wind up wanting to change the color of the nose. Okay, so we'll make this black. And actually this shape, let me smooth this. Oh, actually let's smooth the base. But we can actually take the nose and miscellaneous and decimate it. And then we can take Smoothie Poo and we can, let's make sure we go to darker. And we can smooth out. Although it doesn't really look smooth. Yeah, there we go. Let's see if we can smooth this out and make it nice and smooth. Okay, there we go. I think that looks good. Looks great. I don't think there's anywhere else I really need to use that. So the only other thing that I would do is probably just go around and add a darker color. Like for example, this part of the eye, I might add lighter 2. So this part of the eye, I might grab that color and then just make a, oh, not lighter, actually dark, I meant darker. Make it a little darker. And then use paint and paint around the edges. And then use Smoothie Poo. Smoothie Poo is just the smooth tool with 0 intensity. So that's with the intensity all the way down. So that's all that is. But if you've seen any of my videos, then you already know that. You can just tap this, clone it. Excuse me, turn that down, and then tap on it again and save, and it just saves it. So that's all that this is. But it looks like this smooths really nicely. And this kind of just gives a little bit of flavor to, you know, some of the parts. I'm not really going to do it that much. I actually think it looks pretty good, but you could also do it on the body. Let's change this to darker 2. And I would just need to take the color of this, make it a little bit darker, and then paint like around this maybe. And then use Smoothie Poo and just kind of smooth out. I do this with all my sculpts. I always try to tell everyone that they should do this because it really makes your stuff stand out. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, that's just a shadow, I think. Pretty sure that's just a shadow. Yeah, I think I'm happy with it. I think I'm very, very happy with it. So let's see what else we need to do. Do we need to turn this up? Turn the exposure up a little bit. We'll turn the key up a little bit. The rim light, we'll turn up a little bit. Oh, is it so? Oh, it's not even on post-process. Yeah. Turn the quality up. And actually, for the rim light, we might even be able to take this light that's lighting up the side of him, and maybe we'll just try to get some light going through the... Let's change this to a spotlight. Let's try to get some light going through the ears. Oh, we have to change it back to subsurface, don't we? That's what it is. I was like, why am I not seeing any of my subsurface? So we'll put it back to subsurface. I think that was all. Did we change this back to subsurface? Still subsurface. Subsurface, same density, which is good. So now we have this new spotlight here. I think that's the new spotlight. So we'll turn that up. We don't need it that bright. So we'll turn it up there. Maybe we'll make it a little bit brighter. Get it going through the back of the ear. Okay, so let's go to post-process. It looks a little... It's looking a little too shadowy. So I'm going to bring that down a little bit. Maybe bring the intensity down. It's like a light character. He doesn't need that much shadow. That looks good. The bloom looks good. Yeah. Pretty happy with it. Let's see if I want to rotate the environment at all. So this will rotate. This is why I use this, because I really like what it does with the eyes. Really, I can't. I wish I could get them both at the same time, but it doesn't look like I can. Ooh, but I kind of like that. I think that looks good. Maybe I'll just turn this up a little bit more. I really want him to be bright. I love it. I think that's it. I think I'm good. What color should this be? Let's make this like a gray. Maybe a little bit of metal. Paint that. Save. Select. Oh, let's get rid of these light icons. Let's get rid of this. Let's make this subsurface as well. All right, so that's it. Hope you enjoyed it. If you like this, definitely check out my Skillshare classes. There's more intense videos like this, and actually they're more succinct. I go through and edit pretty much everything. I leave in some of the stuff if I think it's worth it, but they're just way more edited than these videos. This I just kind of like have fun, and hopefully you enjoyed it, the people that get all the way through. All right, keep drawing, keep sculpting. I'll see you all in the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. Be sure to like and subscribe. And if you want to go more in depth, then definitely check out my Skillshare classes where I am a top teacher. I have about 50 classes, both Procreate and Nomad Sculpt. I also have a few classes on Udemy, so if you want to learn more, or you just like my style, you like the way I teach, you want to support me, those are some other places that you can do it. Thanks again, keep drawing, keep sculpting. I'll see you all in the next video.